In late March 1865, at City Point, Virginia, 4 men held a council of war aboard a vessel called the River Queen. They were Admiral David Porter, Major General William Tecumseh Sherman, Lieutenant General Ulysses S. Grant, and President Abraham Lincoln. They were all confident the Union was about to win the Civil War at last. But then, when they did, what should they do with the former Confederates?
Let them all go, officers and all. I want no more bloodshed. We want those people to return their allegiance to the Union.
Abraham Lincoln's wishes would be carried out in one of the pivotal events in all of American history: the surrender at Appomattox. Between the two armies was Appomattox Courthouse. It was a small place in a tobacco farming area. A few dozen structures clustered around the Richmond-Lynchburg Stage Road. A general store, a tavern and guest house, slave quarters and blacksmith shops. Perhaps 100 people in all. In this town, as in most of the South, life was based on farming. And farming was often based on slavery. Over half the people in the county were enslaved. What was about to happen in McLean's parlor would change their lives forever. It would change everything. Appomattox had seen little of the Civil War that had raged for 4 years. The war had divided the nation and killed over 700,000 Americans. April 9th, 1865. At about 10 o'clock in the morning, Federal soldiers saw a lone horseman approaching. He carried a white flag of truce. Late that morning, Lee sat down to rest under an apple tree.
I have here a message from General Grant for General Lee.
He was waiting for a response from Grant. For 3 days, the two generals had exchanged notes.
I shall see to it that he gets this immediately.
Thank you, Colonel.
In the last one, Lee used the word surrender. Ulysses S. Grant and Robert E. Lee were the supreme generals of an epic war. That day at Appomattox, both generals acted as catalysts for peace. Each had a vital choice to make, a choice that would resonate in history. Lee's choice had come early that morning when a fellow officer suggested they let the army scatter. After all, Confederate President Jefferson Davis had called for guerrilla warfare. But Lee saw what that would mean. The country would be full of lawless bands, he said. It would take years to recover. Lee would take defeat instead. Grant's finest hour came now, as he wrote the terms of surrender. On the day of his surrender at Appomattox, Lee exhorted his men, "Go home now, and if you make as good citizens as you have soldiers, you will do well, and I shall always be proud of you." By early June, the last Confederate armies had given up. The war was truly over. Lincoln had issued the Emancipation Proclamation 2 years earlier, but it was with Appomattox that emancipation became more than an idea. It could now be the law of the land. That December, the 13th Amendment to the Constitution outlawed slavery forever. Emancipation set the country on a path to equality. And that path has proven to be long and steep. But a first step was taken here at Appomattox.